You're invited, club love. It's all R&B all night. All the things that I would play in my vibration, my frequency, because my frequency is different.
Well, the party's over for Diddy Combs.
The arrest of Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy is now at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a place that's been described as hell on earth.
So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home.
Diddy's bail was denied for the third time. According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown.
Newly leaked footage from Sean Diddy Combs' time behind bars has taken the legal drama surrounding him to a whole new level. As he faces federal charges of racketeering, trafficking, and coercion, the clip shows a visibly stressed Diddy grappling with harsh prison conditions. Amid growing concerns about his mental state, rumors of foul play and secretive dealings continue to swirl. With his trial looming, the footage raises troubling questions about the mogul's future. Will he face justice, or will his immense wealth and influence protect him yet again? The stakes have never been higher for the music icon.
We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool. We control what's hot. We control what your kids listen to, what they dance to. We control what's in video games. We control how they wear their pants, sag their pants. We control everything.
Sean Diddy Combs is currently serving time at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, facing multiple federal charges that include racketeering, trafficking, and coercion. As the world waits for his trial, scheduled for May 2025, new developments continue to unravel, revealing shocking aspects of his life in prison.
Over the last several weeks, lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs have filed motion after motion, letter after letter, wanting more details about how the feds were able to get into their client's cell at the notorious Metropolitan Detention Center out in New York, and whether anybody broke the law to do it. Remember, Combs has been locked up since September out in Brooklyn after a federal grand jury indicted him on charges of racketeering conspiracy, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The prosecutor's allegations date back years, but Combs also has been accused in civil court of misconduct that allegedly dates back to the 1990s, lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit accusing him of seriously heinous acts against men, women, and children. But to be clear, Combs has always maintained his innocence, and he has never been convicted of or found liable of any sort of sexual assault or abuse. And his attorneys are saying he is looking forward to clearing his name in court, upcoming trial in May.
His life in prison has been marked by constant legal battles, an ongoing fight for bail, and a series of events that have only made the situation more complicated. The latest leaks, which show footage from inside his cell, have only added fuel to the growing fire surrounding his case.
Diddy's bail was denied for the third time. According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him. If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, he eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it. This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had this meltdown over the holidays, at least according to one source.
Despite his wealth and status, Diddy has not been able to buy his way out of the harsh conditions at MDC. His legal team attempted to secure his release through a $50 million bail package, but the courts denied it, citing concerns about his flight risk and the possibility of tampering with witnesses. The government claims that Diddy has the resources and influence to manipulate the legal process, particularly with his with connections in the entertainment world.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors." Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urged the judge to remand him. She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
Reports from within 1760 have revealed that Diddy is being held in protective custody, a common arrangement for high-profile inmate.
In recent days, he's been moved to general population, and that's where these new reports come from. Diddy has allegedly befriended some of his fellow inmates who have apparently started helping him out with tasks like making his bed or cleaning his cell. Prosecutors allege Diddy is also using the phone accounts belonging to some of these other inmates. They say Diddy knows his phone line is being monitored, so by using the other phone lines, he hopes to keep his conversations private. According to court docs, Diddy is partaking in unauthorized three-way calls as a way to send hundreds of texts, and some of these messages are apparently going to people on Diddy's no-contact list. The feds say Diddy has used the accounts of at least 8 other inmates, but they say he's doing more than that. They allege Diddy is also trying to corruptly influence witness testimony and taint the jury pool from behind bars. Prosecutors wrote, quote, "While attempting to invade law enforcement monitoring, the defendant has, among other things, orchestrated social media campaigns that are, in his own words, aimed at tainting the jury pool, made efforts to publicly leak materials he views as helpful to the case, and contacted witnesses through third parties."
Though this might seem insignificant, such actions are seen as potential signs of manipulation or preferential treatment that could cause problems for Diddy's legal standing. Some even claim that certain inmates have been using their phone accounts to make unauthorized calls, a practice that is monitored closely but nonetheless presents complications.
So according to the government, a person referred to as Investigator 1 had apparently been monitoring Sean Combs' phone calls and other communications. That's one of the ways that officials learned that Combs was allegedly breaking the jail rules by reportedly doing things like using other inmates' ID numbers or initiating three-way phone calls to potentially contact somebody he wasn't supposed to. But the defense has raised alarm bells when they say that this investigator improperly took photos of privileged notes in Combs' cell and then gave that information to the prosecution, despite the fact that the defense claims the word legal was written on the notepads, meaning there's attorney-client privilege issues. So there ended up being some sort of confusion about what was labeled legal and when the word legal may have been written on them, but in the end, the judge determined that the prosecution needed to get rid of some of the photos and said they weren't allowed to use the information in the latest round of bail arguments that they made several months ago. By the way, Combs' team tried to secure him bail 3 different times in front of 3 different judges, but pretrial release was denied every time, and it seems at this point he has given up any further fight on that issue.
Diddy's attorneys argue that his rights are being violated, stating that he should be granted bail as he has not been convicted and is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But the authorities are unconvinced, fearing that releasing him could allow him to intimidate witnesses or influence the proceedings. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team continues to mount a defense, claiming that any contact with witnesses or others was innocuous and due to pre-existing relationships.
AUSA Slavic continues. On or about November 3rd, 2024, following the completion of the MDC sweep, the prosecution team first became aware of Investigator 1's involvement in the MDC sweep through a phone call between myself and Investigator 1. Investigator 1 informed me that he had spent time in the defendant's unit and checked the defendant's bunk area for contraband, including cell phones. Investigator 1 also informed me that he took photographs of certain of the defendant's papers and an address book. Investigator 1 provided a high-level overview of the contents of the BOP notes, including the defendant's plans to discredit possible witnesses and find dirt on people. At the conclusion of the November 3rd, 2023 call, I requested that Investigator 1 send the BOP notes directly to the AUSA leading the filter team, i.e., the team charged with reviewing material that may contain attorney communications or work product. We've talked about this before, but a filter team is not the prosecutors in this case. This is a separate third-party team, goes through the communication, sees what might be privileged and what can and can't be turned over to the prosecutors.
However, the prison leaks and ongoing allegations paint a much darker picture. The latest footage released from MDC shows disturbing footage of Diddy in his cell, appearing visibly distressed. This footage, which surfaced on social media, shows him pacing back and forth in his small cell, sometimes breaking down in tears.
Observers at recent court hearings say prison and meal refusals appear to be taking a toll on Combs, who looks astonishingly thinner and grayer.
Again, all I can say is, of course he's thinner and grayer. That's because he doesn't have a private chef cooking every meal for him. Don't you recall a PR guru that joined us a few weeks ago stated that Sean Combs would demand cheesecake at 4 a.m. and get it? And I mean, that was just a tiny example. Of course he's thinner. He's having to eat 3 regular meals like the rest of us, and he's not being served on a silver platter. And boo-hoo, Killa Brantley, his gray is showing. That's because he's not having a weekly touch-up with his private hairdresser. Am I supposed to feel bad about that, Killa?
The clip raises questions about his mental health and whether he is truly coping with the overwhelming weight of the charges against him. The emotional toll of facing such serious accusations, combined with the harsh realities of prison life, has been evident in recent weeks, prompting his legal team to raise concerns about his well-being. They have even requested his transfer to a different facility, citing his fragile state.
Not necessarily whispers anymore. It's full out being stated and reported that Sean Combs is jealous over Luigi Mangione. Okay, I don't care about that, but I find it really interesting that he's having his sulky, pouty stunts where he refuses to come out of his jail because he's angry. Okay, listen to this.
Sean Diddy Combs may be feeling forgotten behind bars. The mogul's holidays have been described as bleak, with equally dismal holiday meals to match, including a steak and cheese sub served on a hot dog bun. And now Combs isn't even the most high-profile inmate at the MDC. Combs reportedly reeling over this support inmates show CEO killer Luigi Mangione, while he's been shunned over federal trafficking allegations.
What is wrong with investigative reporter Dave Mack from crimeonline.com? He just said Combs' twins went to a casual yacht trip to St. Bart's. Casual? What?
While Diddy's mental health remains a concern, his legal situation is just as dire. Authorities have been investigating claims made by former associates, including a bodyguard who revealed details about Diddy's parties. These events, reportedly filled with manipulation and non-consensual acts, have been central to the case. Big Homie CC, who once worked closely with Diddy, shared harrowing stories of women allegedly being at these gatherings. The leaked footage has only fueled speculation about the possibility of a deeper, more troubling network of illicit activities that Diddy may have been involved in for years.
A situation took place where it was a couple of us, and it's 4 of us total, 3 ladies, the principal and her 2 buddies. They sipped something and they started getting sick.
And this was the woman you were protecting. You were her security. Yes.
Yeah. So, my antennas go up. It led to a confrontation because I noticed that certain people knew what was going on. And the guy told me to relax, it's normal. No, this is not normal. Y'all don't know who y'all got here today. And, it led to a confrontation. I ended up getting hit with a bottle, get stitches, a couple guys had to go to the hospital, stuff like that.
Was it one of Diddy's bodyguards or one of his security people? Yeah.
Yeah, some people from this team.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got a team. He's got a team of people. And
so now when you say that this next group of people, this layer of group, did they go to a different location or was it at the same location?
Yes, so they ended up going upstairs. So and then, because this is an open bar, first and foremost. Whatever drinks you want, usually the stuff he's contractually obligated to have normally. Any drug or narcotic you want is available. But you just start seeing groups of workers arrive, male, female, and you just start seeing people pairing off and start doing what they do. And if I'm at one of these events with a male and my principal is a man, I'll go wait in the car, because look, bro, I'm not here for the swinger party. You feel me? And then, you don't want to be the straight guy in a party where everybody else is rainbow, because when they start hitting on you, now you're the jerk.
Further complicating Diddy's situation are rumors of his connection to the deaths of several individuals close to him, including Kim Porter, his former partner, and one of his bodyguards. These deaths have long been surrounded by mystery, with some suggesting foul play could have been involved. The latest footage, showing Diddy in distress, has reignited suspicions that these deaths could be tied to darker forces at play, including potential poisonings or other nefarious acts.
Whenever people mention science, I get uncomfortable because over a period of 6 years, I had pneumonia 3 times, right? So on the final time, my mom takes me to the hospital. They get a toxicology report done. I test positive for cyanide. The way cyanide metabolizes in the human body is, after a certain amount of dosages, it turns into pneumonia. Kim Porter, his ex-wife, died from pneumonia.
I heard that.
His ex-bodyguard recently, a few months ago, just died from pneumonia. And when I first started speaking out about this, there were no podcasts. It's like 2013. There are no podcasts. Social media is really just starting to get ingrained in society. So people told me I was crazy, said I was a hater, but I work hand in hand with law enforcement in my career path. And, they tested my car. My car handles tested positive for cyanide. So, I don't think a person will use cyanide directly at a party, but cyanide is around. I tested positive for it. I got my toxicology report to this day.
The said meltdown has also drawn attention to Diddy's behavior behind bars, showing moments of vulnerability rarely seen by the public. This has humanized the mogul to some extent, with many people expressing sympathy for him as he navigates life in prison. However, it has also sparked a broader discussion about celebrity power and influence. Is Diddy being treated differently due to his wealth and status? Are the authorities turning a blind eye to potential wrongdoing because of his prominence in the entertainment industry?
What about it, Hendrix?
Well, apparently they must have run out of cheesesteak sub buns and they're putting the meat on the hot dog bun. He just needs to eat his meal and keep quiet. In terms of him not wanting to come out, in terms of him having a meltdown and telling the staff that he wants to go to the hospital, I can tell you we used to send inmates to the hospital for hangnails. So apparently he's just trying to get out of the institution, and they're just having no parts of it. There's an old saying in prison: if you mind your own, you live long. So he needs to stop worrying about Luigi Mangione and get focused on his particular case. Because I'm also hearing that he's refusing to leave the cell to come down to the visiting room to be served these additional lawsuits. And it's not going to stop anything. It's just going to delay it a little bit. But he needs to get focused on what he needs to do to fight for his freedom and fight these allegations. But the more he acts up, the more he panders, and the more he cries, he just appears to be guilty. And I know he's got to be proven guilty in the court of law, but his actions are very diva-like, and it's not winning him any friends in that institution or any other future institution that he may find himself in the future.
As Diddy awaits his trial, his legal team is fighting to clear his name, but the evidence stacked against him is significant. With multiple accusers and testimonies, the case appears to be heading in a direction that could lead to severe consequences for the mogul. His trial in May 2025 will undoubtedly be a pivotal moment, not only for Diddy, but for the entertainment industry as a whole. The revelations that have surfaced in recent weeks may prove to be a game changer, influencing the outcome of his trial and the broader conversation about power, accountability, and justice.
There is a certain honor among thieves, let me just put it euphemistically, where inmates stick together, unless they're offered a sweet deal from prosecutors. But when the inmates turn on you, you're up the creek without a paddle. I wonder, when Combs first came, whether the inmates were starstruck. Okay, I mean, this is a multi-millionaire, some people claim billionaire, who everybody's heard of. But then after a while, the honeymoon is over, and his constant antics and whining, demanding a tablet, wanting special food, every other day wanting to go to the sick ward, angry and sulking that he's not already out of jail, that wears pretty thin on everyone around you. What about it, Dr. Hendricks?
You're absolutely correct. And in terms of inmates being starstruck, that may have lasted 5 minutes. Because after that, inmates can give a rat's nostril about your status, other than the fact that what they can get out of you. So, unfortunately, he'll probably be extorted at some point if he's not already.
The situation surrounding Diddy is still evolving, with new developments expected in the coming months. His future remains uncertain as he faces the possibility of lengthy prison time, not only for the charges he has been accused of, but also for the public scrutiny and allegations that have surfaced in recent months. Whether Diddy will be able to navigate these treacherous waters and come out unscathed remains to be seen. One thing is clear, his life in prison has just become much more complicated, with the recent leaks adding an entirely new layer of complexity to an already high-profile case. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more updates, and hit that bell so you never miss a thing.